Hello and welcome to It's Not So Lonely at the Top podcast. This is a podcast for business leaders and business owners just like you. We're going to be sharing top tips on how to develop yourself personally and professionally. I'm going to be sharing updated podcasts on a regular basis, so please do make sure you subscribe, and I really hope you enjoy today's podcast.
Paul Umpleby has over 20 years of experience in sales leadership and now supports businesses as a fractional sales director, helping improve their sales performance. His path was far from straightforward. Shaped by early educational challenges, instead of holding him back, these experiences became a driving force for continuous growth. Paul has consistently adapted, meeting new challenges and opportunities with resilience and determination. This mindset guides both his professional approach and personal outlook, making him a thoughtful individual who understands the value of persistence. Paul, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much, Pete. Good to be here.
I'm really pleased you're joining us. And now, Paul, we've known each other, I worked out, it's probably about 13 years.
I think you're right. It is about 13 years.
13 years, mate. And in that time, we've both had a bit of a varied career in that time. But my first question goes right back for you.
Yeah.
So your early career saw you work in a factory as a maintenance engineer. Can you take us back to the moment Damien told you to stick to what you know best? How did that comment ignite the determination that shaped the rest of your career?
Well, thank you for that first question. That takes us back, doesn't it? Yeah, I mean, obviously, when we met, you didn't know about my background. You kind of knew me as I was when we first met. But yeah, I started off in engineering. I was an electrician. That's how I started off in life, and I worked on oil platforms and chemical plants and ships, industrial, electrical wise. And then I was working in a factory as a maintenance engineer. And I was doing it for a couple of years. And I was thinking about, would I want to do something quite different? And at that time, I used to have a lot of sales guys that were coming in to see me about the latest offers they've got on bearings or valves or lubricants or electrical equipment and so on. And I used to talk to them about sales and how did you get into sales? What made you go into sales? Everyone that I spoke to were pretty much of the same opinion. I never thought I'd be in sales, but I just ended up there, got an opportunity, I grabbed it, I practiced, I got better and I got better and I got better. So I'd actually spoken to the MD, Damien, of the factory. I got on quite well with him. I was keeping the factory going as a maintenance engineer. I got on really well with him. And I said to him, what would it take for me to have a job in sales at this company? And he just looked at me and smirked and said, I think you should just stick to what you know best. And I said, what, you don't think I could make it? He said, nah, it's not for you. Just stick to what you know best. Just stick to engineering. And I said, okay. So I felt a bit down by that. I felt a bit down. So I went away and thought about it. I thought, do you know what? No, I think I'm going to do this. This is something that I want to get on and do. It's really difficult to start a career in sales if you don't have any sales experience.
Sure.
So I loved cars. I still love cars. Mm-hmm. So I got the yellow pages out. Can you remember that?
Yeah, I do. But when you stood on to kiss somebody who was taller than you.
They were. So I got the yellow pages out.
I'm pretty sure that was an ad, wasn't it? I'm sure that was an ad. Or was it a film?
I think so. I remember people ripping the yellow pages on Strongest Man or something.
Oh, really? Of course, because they were thick as well, weren't they?
They were thick.
Yeah.
They were.
Sorry, carry on.
Yeah, no, it's fine. And they had all the car dealerships in the area.
Cool. 18
of them there was. I lived up in the northeast still at the time. 18 car dealerships. So I printed off 18 copies of my CV, took a day off work, and I went around all the dealerships in the Teesside area.
Lovely.
And basically said, "Here's a job. I'm interested in sales." Anyway, the guy at Renault, the franchise director at Renault, he said, "I'm really busy, but I appreciate you rocking up here.
Yeah.
Can we talk tomorrow?" So I went back in the following day for a proper interview, offered me a job, and that was me in sales. And then after that, I thought, I'll just develop. And then I went into industrial sales, and my career evolved from there. So that negativity that Damien showed me at that time, that you should stick in your lane, don't change.
Yeah.
I knew it was wrong. I knew I should do something about it.
Yeah.
And just getting out there and trying it, just giving it a go. You can do it.
Yeah.
You can do it.
Fuck Damien.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I
wonder
what
he's doing now. I wonder what he's doing now.
Hopefully not listening to this podcast.
I hope not.
Well, hopefully he is, and maybe that'll be some feedback for him.
Maybe
that'll be some feedback for
Maybe
him.
that would be interesting.
Amazing. And Renault's the best. Renault's the best car brand anyway, obviously.
Renaults are great. Once all the plastic bits fall off them, they're brilliant underneath.
So what sort of Renaults would you have been selling back in the day?
Well, back in the day, we were selling, the first car I sold at Renault was a Renault Megane Cabriolet.
Oh, yeah. What a rocket.
And it was, everyone else was selling Clios and Meganes. Yeah. And the first one I sold was this Cabriolet. Got on this guy, he just retired.
Yeah.
He was just having a bit of a blowout. He's driven Renaults his entire life, but wanted to stick with the brand and went for this top. I think it was called a Monaco. Yeah, the top of the spec one.
Wow,
called the
I
Monaco.
remember. I actually remember.
It was cool.
That's so strange because I remember my back in the day, a previous girlfriend had we used to call it the Red Rocket. It was a red Megane Cabrio, and like it was faded paint because it was solid paint, not like this. You have like clear over base lacquer now, but you remember when reds faded? Yeah. You used to have to polish them up. But yeah, faded red Megane Cabrio, and I think the roof didn't come back either, probably.
Yeah.
So is that post Renault 5 days? Was it
post Renault 5?
Renault 5s were done by then.
The hot hatch car of the moment was the Clio 172.
Right. Okay.
So
the Clio Cup or whatever.
Yeah,
they
just come out at the time, so I had a lot of boy racers coming in wanting to test drive it.
Yeah, the yellowy gold. I remember the yellowy gold Renault Clio. Right.
Yeah,
that was like cool. That was their rally colours or something.
They were, yeah.
Was it yellow
Williams,
or gold?
No,
was it yellow?
Like a Williams car, yeah. That was a little bit before my time. Interesting, my dad has a Renault Clio now. It's more than 20 years old, and he called it the Rocket.
Really?
Because it's just used for, he has an allotment, so he just uses it to throw things in, and if it gets dented in the car park, they have another posher car. Yeah. But they have the Rocket for things like that.
Awesome.
Still going strong.
So when we were preparing, you told me earlier about challenges at school and the impact they had on how you treat people. How have those experiences influenced the way you lead and support people today? Yeah.
I mean, I was opening up a little bit to you earlier when we were talking about childhood and background. So I was heavy as a child. I was the fattest kid in school. You know, I was at school in the 80s. As far as I can recall, I don't really remember a lot of overweight kids when I was younger.
Sure.
Sadly, now there is a lot more. There is a lot more of that. So I really stood out, I think, as someone in school that was just heavier than everybody else, and it knocked my confidence a little bit, I guess. But some of the words that people say, kids are horrible, they can be horrible, and some of the words that people say at that time can be tough to take. But it does teach you that you can't look at somebody for who they are on the face of it. You've got to look inside a little bit. And even right from being at school, I've always seen the value of the individual person and what it is that they bring and the uniqueness that they have, and the differences that they have as well, that they can bring to a conversation. And I guess over the years, I've met with some incredible people that on the face of it, people might think they're a little bit quirky, they're a little bit different, and not exactly how we would want them for a role or for a position or in the company, but they bring a certain element of uniqueness. And I think those early childhood memories of trying to fit in and trying to be something a little bit different that people can sort of blend with, and they can buy into you, and you can be part of their friendship group. Actually stand on your own, be unique. You are who you are. That's just carried me through the rest of my life, and I really look out for those people that just need a little bit of a helping hand. And I found some unique talent across the years. Some great people. Great people.
Yeah, I think it's quite tempting to essentially. It's not judging a book by the cover, isn't it? And just digging a little bit underneath what faces you. That's really important. And I think that's a really important philosophy, because otherwise, particularly you've worked in some really corporate businesses, haven't you? Yeah. And otherwise, they can just end up everyone being quite similar. And
everyone's the same, aren't they? Everyone's the same. Yeah. Over the years, I've taken on. I've always had this habit of trying to look for good sales talent that you can bring on into bigger and better roles that might have been overlooked because maybe their shoes weren't as shiny as they should have been, or their hair wasn't as smart, or they hadn't shaved that morning. Those are the guys that would typically get overlooked back. I think it's different now. It's a different world now. But back then, people would have been overlooked because they didn't dress right, or they didn't have the smart suit on, or their tie was always a little bit out of place. I actually sought those people out. I thought they were better. I thought those are the ones that it's not really that important to them. They can add what they have. We can take that, and we've got you've got a unique talent, different individuals making up a team. That's really powerful.
Sure, I love that. So your ability to spot less than ideal behaviour sounds to be like quite a skill. In a business setting, what are the early signs leaders should pay attention to when unhealthy behaviour is emerging?
Okay, so that's a good question. I think in business, what do I think about this in business? Unhealthy behaviours can come through for sure, particularly when you've got the pressure on. If you've got a business that's high pressure, I think that's where I've seen it most. When the pressure's on, people behave in a very different way. It's what I would call a powered down sort of culture.
Sure.
So maybe it starts at the top. So the leader is feeling the pressure. So they have this power down culture. So they power down on other people. And then that resonates down the organization. And what you end up with is you've got middle managers that are saying, we really need to get this done because John said, or I've just had a call with John and he's really raging about this and we have to get it done. And that pressure then just rates down to the organization. How I think that occurs is when people go it alone. They stop listening. They're not working in a team environment. They're not seeking out new ideas. They're going it alone. They're solo, and they start making their own decisions. And when the pressure is on and you're on your own, you're really passing down that negative, what could be a sort of toxic culture. And as somebody with a childhood background like mine, when people are sort of in your face and you're not sort of getting the right level of attention from them, that can be quite disruptive, I think, in the workplace. And I'm sure there are many, many other people out there that sort of struggle in those sort of environments when the pressure's high and the power is coming down. One of the companies that I worked for in the past, they had what was called an adult culture. A company called Zilliant. Greg Peters was the CEO. Incredible guy. Texas-based business, Austin, Texas.
He's got a great name.
Yeah,
great name.
Exactly. Yeah, Greg Peters. Maybe he listens to this. But I really love what he did with the culture of that organization. You would imagine that an American company's very driven. Got to get things done. Sales organization, very active. But he had what they called an adult culture. So the adult, the ADULT.
Nice,
it's an acronym for something. So I can't remember. It was A is accountability, D is discipline, or words to that effect. But I think what mattered most is just the word adult. So if you think, and if you're an adult, what does it mean to be an adult?
Yeah, sure. Well, it's about taking responsibility. It's about having ownership. It's about being a good person.
That's it.
When you say that, I go back actually. So I went to thinking about. Have you ever heard? Oh, I didn't mean to knock the microphone. Have you ever heard that conversation? Yeah, you have some coffee, mate. I'll chat for a minute. You chill out. Just make sure you bring the microphone back, obviously. No, you carry on. So. Have you heard that the communication style when you hear so the issue you have, so for example, when someone talks down to someone, they take this parent role and they talk down, so you've got like a parent-child relationship, and ultimately this win-win idea is where you have an adult-to-adult conversation rather than a parent-to-child, and then the child gets stubborn or petulant or whatever it may be back at the parent. So you kind of have parent-adult-child, and then you're aiming for this adult to adult conversation all the time, rather than a parent child, which is generally where people try and shame each other or bully or push or make people do stuff.
Absolutely.
I really like that sort of as an adult culture.
It just works, because even if I'm now sitting here racking my brain, what does it stand for? I can't quite remember.
It didn't matter.
But it doesn't matter, because people around the organization are trying to make decisions. And in my mind, what they then said was, we're in an adult culture. What would an adult do about this? This is an adult situation. Put my adult head on. What's the decision I've got to make? Just got to make it happen. Just got to say the right thing. Just got to involve the right people. It's easy when you think about it. And it was simple. I really, really like simple things that people can buy into. So Greg, whatever you're doing now, genius, absolute genius.
Absolutely spot on. Yeah, I love that. And it's, to be fair, whilst we're on that subject, I think creating a culture can be quite tricky, can't it? You know, when you do this vision and values piece, and there's, you get consultants that will come in and obviously do their work and charge a lot of money. But what's your thoughts on, obviously, in this case, obviously Greg came up with adult, however he came up with it. Do you think the right way, because it fits as part of the performance trifecta, as part of my book, and I think also aligns with your thought process as well, it's important to have a vision and a set of values, right? Yeah. And what do you think is the best way about going about creating those? Would you involve the people or just a senior leadership team? Do you think everyone should have an input, or do you think actually it should come from the chairman, the MD, and come down from them where they go, this is going to be our culture and I want you to align your behaviours with this? What do you think's the sort of right way to do that?
So in the corporate world, you can seek input from the teams and from all of the individuals, but eventually someone's got to make a decision. So when you look in the corporate world, you normally see a purpose statement and the values that are created. The values are scored at the end of each year on the appraisal process, and some manager says whether you did or didn't achieve that particular part of the values. I think we have to accept that it's part, when you're in a corporate organization with thousands and thousands and thousands of people, you've got to have that. But if you can involve the team, I would absolutely recommend it. Really, really recommend something like that. Maybe small working groups, sub teams coming up with ideas. You're more likely to get adherence to company values if the team has come up with it themselves, rather than just forcing it upon them and getting them to act in a certain way. But I think purpose and value are probably more important. A lot of businesses, I mean, I work in the sales environment, so it's all about hitting the number. That is important. You have to hit the number. It's what we do. That's the job that we're in. But the why is that important, I think, is often missing within organizations. Why is this important? Well, it's because we're building this over here, because we're trying to do that. I work for IMI PLC, large corporate organization, and their purpose statement is breakthrough engineering for a better world. So it doesn't matter what you are doing throughout the organization, you are creating breakthrough engineering for a better world. Whether you are in finance running some reporting, whether you're a sales guy trying to sell the latest product, whether you're in marketing putting a campaign together, you are creating breakthrough engineering for a better world. And people can get behind that, people can align with it, and they can see why they're doing what they're doing and why it really matters, why it matters.
Sure. And then regardless of the role, people feel like they're contributing towards that.
I think so.
Towards that greater goal.
I think so.
Excellent. Spot on. Next question then, mate.
Okay.
Next question. You once missed out on an internal promotion and initially didn't take the feedback very well. What shifted in those couple of weeks that helped you hear it differently a second time?
Yeah.
And what was the feedback?
Oh, you were really listening through our conversation earlier.
Well, I just wanted to share.
Yeah. So I went for a role which was a step-up management role, sales management role. I was already in level 1 management position, going for a level 2. And I got down to the final 2 candidates, I guess, and I didn't get the job. And it was really tough at the time because every interview that I'd ever been for had worked out positively.
Sure,
I'd got it.
Yeah.
And it was the first time that I hadn't got something.
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking, why, this can't be right. These people are foolish.
They've got this wrong.
What are they thinking of? What are they thinking of?
Good confidence.
Yeah, there was good confidence, but maybe a little bit of overconfidence at the time, I suppose.
Okay. Yeah.
I was, I was just so shocked that I didn't get it. And as usual, you get the debrief, and I was on a development program, so I got probably more debrief than I deserved actually at that time. So I got really good debrief on what had gone on, but I don't think I was actually listening. You know when you feel a bit hurt about something. I wasn't really listening.
Yeah. The ego's jumping up and down.
The ego, yeah, you're right. I think it was the ego. So I took
Which is totally normal behaviour.
I know, because I hadn't been let down in a role in the past. It was the first one, and it was really difficult. So I went away and thought about it and figured out, you know what? I've only actually been in a management position for 18 months.
Yeah.
Kind of makes sense that I probably wasn't ready for that next step. So I swallowed my pride and went back to HR and said, "I'm really sorry.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I was listening clearly when you gave me the feedback. Yeah. Would you mind if we did it again?"
Sure.
And it was the best thing I've ever done.
Really?
Because I was really listening at that point. I wasn't listening before. I was really, really listening. And the things that I heard at that time was this step-up role was about managing lots and lots and lots of people. That's it. That is the job. It's just managing the people. That's all it is. You bring more of an element of strategy and change management and program management to your sales environment. You are not right for that role. That role is not right for you. Sit tight. There'll be other things in the future that will come up. And sure enough,
what great feedback.
6 months later, something came up. It was more or less a tap on the shoulder at that point. We've got this job. We think you're suited for it. And it just worked really well. Yeah. And I was disappointed with myself for not listening first time around, but so pleased that I went to ask for the feedback again. It was the best thing I could have done. So yeah, you're right. Ego, swallowing your pride, going again. Yeah. I think it's important. And, I think many people have probably had situations like that where they didn't handle something in the right way.
Sure, yeah.
No harm in going back and asking again.
Sitting here chatting to you reminds me of when I spoke to Emma Henderson on a previous podcast, and she failed her initial captain's exam. And, she said that it made her a better captain for failing. And it was the first time she had failed. And that, I find that, it's a really interesting concept. And I look back now at my corporate career, and I look at some of the behaviours I displayed when my ego took control, and even the fact that I held on to that, I was pissed off, and I held on to it for years. Now I look back and think, oh man, what a petulant kid, I was. And it is interesting when you look back, having been through, obviously the personal development that you've been through as well. But it's good. Like, I really admire the way that you actually got yourself around quite quickly, by the sounds of it.
Yeah,
you could have really gone into a spiral. I see a lot of people who go into a spiral, and then there's no coming back because the ego just takes control, and they're like, right, I'm just going to leave.
Absolutely that. Yeah, no, it was tough to begin with, and I probably moaned and groaned in the background as you do, blamed everybody else other than myself and all of that went on. But then you look in the mirror. You got to look in the mirror, and say, do you know what?
Yeah,
I think I could have been better in that situation. I'll go and do it.
Nice.
And that role that I ended up going into was quite strategy driven, and then I did a lot more work on things like vision and purpose and direction, setting strategy for sales teams, thinking about the priorities and what's important to them in the business. We called it vision, strategy, and priorities. It's quite corporate sounding, but you could call it goals, plan and projects, or something like that. Just a way of thinking. That's the vision. That's the big picture that we're going for. The strategy is how we're going to reach that vision. What are the steps that we're going to take, and those priorities? What are the key projects that we need to deliver? who needs to be doing what, any systems changes and so on. Absolutely right up my street. Really, really right up my street at that time. So I enjoyed that. Really enjoyed that a lot.
That leads me to think about the universe and like how everything happens for a reason and those kinds of things. What's your thoughts around that?
Hi, my name's Pete, and I want to thank you for tuning into today's podcast. I'm a coach, speaker, and author. And if you want to take your personal development that bit further, did you know that I offer a mastermind program as well as one-to-one coaching? If you're interested, please do reach out on peterushmer.com.
Well, my wife is a Reiki master.
Yep.
So she truly, truly believes in that.
Mm-hmm.
I was a bit unsure, but I'm now a believer.
Okay.
I think wherever you are right now was absolutely meant to be.
Yes.
Me sitting here with you now. You know, I took a job at RS Components and ended up relocating and moving to Peterborough.
Sure.
If I hadn't joined RS, I would never have met you because I wouldn't have been living in Peterborough. We wouldn't be sitting here doing that podcast. So things are meant to happen for a reason.
And with that there's a level of what's the right terminology? There's a level of like letting go of like the outcome. And you strike me as somebody who likes to try and control the outcome. So there must be a little bit of conflict there around that.
You know, I'm a control freak.
Well, you know, I didn't want to. That's a label, right? And obviously, labels aren't always helpful. You said it.
You know, I am. I've probably been highly disciplined over the years, and to get that discipline, you try to control things. I'm becoming a lot more relaxed in my later years now. I did NLP practitioner last year. Yeah. That was an eye opener. Got rid of a lot of baggage through that, and it allowed me to see the differences and the filters that you operate under. Sure. You know a lot more about this than I do.
Oh, I appreciate that.
It's opened my mind to just relaxing, just chilling out a little bit, and just going with the flow.
Sure.
Going with the flow.
Yeah.
I don't even plan holidays now.
No, I actually thought I was really organised by getting you to asking you some questions beforehand, and then prepping you with some questions, and then interestingly, I think you're less comfortable with the questions than I am. Which is funny because I've tried to prepare to make sure that we're good.
We're all right. We're good.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I think it's important. I think I've always run the podcast previously where it's been much more like, so I'm kind of going the opposite way where I'm starting to try and make sure that there's a depth of question, if that makes sense. Otherwise the really good questions can kind of pass you by in the moment, and there's just not the opportunity to ask them. So one of the intentions from this is that I ask slightly different questions that are probably a bit deeper and more thoughtful than usual. Talking of which, the moment where you had this feedback led you into a change focus role that genuinely made you happy.
Yeah.
What did that experience teach you about aligning strengths with opportunity?
Yeah, I like that. Interestingly, that I think that conflicts against that feedback that Damien gave me back in the day, where he said, "Stay in your lane, stick to what you're good at," and so on. So that feedback of me not being right for that next level manager step up and going to something slightly different, it is me sticking in my lane, you might say. But the feedback that I was getting at the time was, focus on your strengths. Let's put more emphasis onto the strengths. If you can be stronger at the things that you are good at, imagine the impact that you can have on the organization and the team and so on. And I really, really embrace that. And I follow that path now. There's loads of things that I'm not good at. I don't really spend a lot of time worrying about it. Okay. It is what it is. It is what it is. Better to spend a lot of time working on the things that I know I'm brilliant at, that I could continue to get better at and evolve and improve myself over time. Sure. So that's been something that I've always continued to do. I look at my daughter now. she's doing A level. She wants to go and do fine art at university next year. And she's doing her A levels at the moment, and she's doing English and geography and fine art. So she's pitching at the moment where she'll be an A star for fine art. That sounds great. She'll go on to university and continue with fine art and do really well at that. But because of the education system, she also has to do really well at geography and English in order to get the UCAS points to go and do it. And she hates it. She thinks to herself, why do I need to try much harder at being shit at geography when all I want to do is draw? I just want to do art. But the educational system is set up in that way. She has to do great in everything. But once she's finished A levels and she goes off into uni, she can focus 100% and she'll smash it. I just know she will.
Sure.
You really will.
It is a strange system, isn't it? Where it doesn't really, there's like a level of not allowing you to specialise, isn't there? And I suppose there is an argument for both, right? There's an argument for let's work on our weaknesses to ensure that we're well-rounded. And then there's an argument to go, no, let's specialise. Let's be really great at a few things and go really deep with those. So it sounds like you're an advocate for specialising. And I suppose the question is, actually, are you an advocate for specialising? And are you an advocate for recognising that I see that as systems and computers and tech does more for us as a race, is it better actually to specialise rather than be a generalist? Because that's kind of the human power, isn't it? That we can go really deep with something.
First thing to say on that is I don't think I am a master at any one thing.
Okay.
There are some people that maybe they get into a career, they may even move to different companies and do different things within those companies, but they might be completely aligned to an industry. They might always work in the transport industry, or always work in the safety industry, or always work in electronic engineering industry, and then become real experts in that. I don't think I've ever really felt accustomed to following that path. I know lots of stuff, and I'm pretty good at a lot of things, but I don't think you should really sort of hone down and really focus too deep on everything. Better to have a broad perspective on stuff, I would say. And I forgot the second part of your question.
Well, the second question was, do we think that the direction of travel from a societal perspective and tech, essentially from a development perspective, actually will it favour people who really focus down on a niche, specialising in a certain area, against people who are more generalist?
It's a hard one to answer, and I've been thinking about it a lot because of my daughter. I wonder, what is she going to do with fine art when she leaves university? She's not going to be an accountant. She's not going to be a doctor, a dentist. She's not going to have a profession. She's going to be a fine artist. And I don't know what that will mean for her when she finishes university. But what I do see now is, in a world of technology and a world of AI, you're getting a lot of things that are the same.
Yes.
So maybe it's about having core skills and core behaviors that you have as an individual that you can use in the future. So Harriet has an immense amount of creativity. So she will be using that creativity later on down the line. So I don't know what the world of AI is going to mean to us in 5 years, 10 years from now. But perhaps somebody just wants a human touch. Somebody just wants a perspective from somebody that sees it through a different lens. And Harriet's got bucket loads of creativity, and I think she can bring that. So that's what I think it's at now, is maybe about core skills, behaviors that you can turn your attention to anything that might come up in the future.
Sure. Yeah, fascinating. Excellent. So you mentioned to me earlier, this is a really good point, you bringing Harriet in. So you mentioned to me earlier that you're inspired to define your infinite purpose. And how does that purpose act as a compass when you're advising clients today?
Okay. Wow. So we, during lockdown period, during COVID times, hit a bit of a strange zone. A lot of people did. I was wondering where I was going with my career.
Sure.
Financially, we were pretty sound. Harriet's needing us less. She's growing older. My wife's business is going well, and I started to wonder, what's my role now in this family? What is it that I'm here to do? And I listened to a lady called Susie Marr. She was the founder of Tropic Skincare.
Okay. Yeah.
And she was on the High Performance podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And she was talking there about having an infinite purpose. She was inspired by Simon Sinek anyway.
Yeah.
And then she took it a stage further and she was talking about this infinite purpose. It really resonated with me at the time because I was lacking a little bit of direction in my life.
Sure.
And I went away and started to think about what am I doing with my life? What's it all for? A bit like we talked about the corporate side of it. What's the purpose of the organization? What's the purpose of you as an individual? And I came up with this idea that it's just to provide a happy and healthy life for me and my family. And it was really that simple. And it's infinite because it never ends. I'm always trying to provide a healthy and happy life for me and my family. And that's stuck with me for the last where are we now? It's 4 years since COVID. And that really drives me now. That motivates me to go on and do different things to be sure that we can succeed as a family and continue to grow. So how do I take that to clients when I'm working with them? Well, it goes back to mixing that individual purpose that I have and my infinite purpose to be a better person and provide for my family. But then everything we said about the corporate vision and the purpose. Why are you doing what you're doing? What is this business all about? How can you get your teams and your people to really buy into something much bigger than can you just fill that spreadsheet in?
Yeah.
And I think once you start to take that message with them and get people to think a little bit more broadly about how they can engage a workforce in something that's bigger, that's when the magic really, really does start to happen. And by the way, that purpose might be create shareholder value, but fine. Get all of the employees to buy shares because then they will benefit from that.
Sure.
It's some way of getting people to buy into what's the big picture for this organization, get them on the right page, and then they will be able to do their work in a fulfilling way, knowing that they're making a real difference.
Love that. I love that. I think, that makes sense to inspire that vision within people.
I think that's big in your business. That's big in your business, that vision. Everything you're doing with safety, you're saving lives at the end of the day.
Yeah, sure. So, I personally find it quite inspiring, the fact that there's a really big goal to go at, which is when you talk about road safety in particular, like 5 people a day die needlessly on the UK roads each day, and 50% of the road users are driving for work.
Yeah.
It's a huge goal to go at, isn't it? It's like incredible. But yeah. Obviously, our company vision, safer, greener, greater, making our clients safer, greener, and greater, which is infinite because they can get better at being safe. But, there's always opportunity to develop and improve. And better, well, what does that mean? Well, being a great place to work, there's always room to work on that stuff, isn't there? So, totally. Looking at the businesses you support today, what do you think most teams are missing when it comes to the direction they've been given?
Yeah. It probably goes back to the bit we talked about vision, strategy, and priorities. When they're in the heat of the moment, they're being asked to deliver on something. Often they don't really understand why. They're just being tasked with something and they don't have the bigger picture. Maybe the decisions are made further up the tree. And having that clarity on the vision, the strategy and the priorities makes it easier to get team buy-in. So they know where they're heading, they know why we're heading in that direction, and they know the value of the work that they're doing is helping to deliver that big picture. It's just sort of common sense that people need to understand what it is that you want them to do and why you want them to do it. Don't hide it. Let's be open about it. Stick it on the wall. Say, this is what we're trying to do. Breakthrough engineering for a better world. Everywhere they turn, you would see this. And whatever that means for a company vision and a purpose within any organization, communicate that well to the team so that they understand the work that they're doing, and then you've got really, really clear direction about where people are going and how we're going to get there as well.
Sure. I really buy into having a really clear direction. Obviously, it's one of the 3 fundamentals in my book as well, in my trifecta model. So
Yes.
I'm really behind that. And speaking of which, you've got a model as well that's refreshingly simple.
Have I?
Yeah, apparently so. Vision, strategy, priorities.
This is it. I must have said it 10 times. It's a bit too corporate, though. Do you think it's corporate?
What, vision, strategy, priorities?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. I think the priorities is a really interesting one. I know we've spoken quite a bit about vision and strategy, but priorities is a really challenging one because I speak to a lot of people and they're really overwhelmed. They don't know what to do next. So there's a lack of priorities. People always say to me, "Oh, I procrastinate," or "I've got time management problem," which I always find fascinating. I've got a time management problem because in reality, we all only have 24 hours a day, don't we? So it's about priority management rather than time management. So
no, I agree with that. And maybe the vision side of it, the big picture goal, shouldn't really change. Yeah. You should get behind that as an organization. Everybody buys into it because it's a long-term thing. It's not going to happen overnight. And the strategy elements are, we want to grow to a certain extent. We want to improve our margins. We want to enter this new market. Those are the sort of things that you would see. And again, they're typically longer term, but the priorities perhaps should shift.
Yes.
And the priorities should change. You should try to tick things off. Mm-hmm. So if you are wanting to enter a completely new market with a new product, the priorities are going to be focused on doing that as a first step. Mm-hmm. Then once you're in there and you want to scale, the priorities are going to be somewhat different to what they were first time around. So I don't think you can become totally wedded to a set of priorities. You've got to flex and adapt and pivot all the time and keep looking at them and keep changing and keep evolving them as you go. But sticking that simple structure, vision, strategy, priorities, or goal, plan, project, friends, Romans, countrymen, everything comes in threes. It's easy for people to understand. And when you're communicating it to the team, they should get that. They should really, really understand it. Make it simple. Make it really simple.
I've got a one-pager. I'm not sure if I've shared it with you before, but I have a one-page business plan that I share with the mastermind members.
Yeah.
And it essentially follows your strategy in its simplest form. It's a bit more complex in that it's a one-pager. You've got the company vision, you've got the values on one side, which essentially are the long term. You got long term here, and then you got the 3 to 5 year strategies. There's like 3 to 5 of them, depending on how many strategies you want. So you've got in there, and then you got your annual priorities. So what are we doing this year to achieve that 3 to 5 year? And then you got your big audacious 5 year plus at the bottom, and it all it's almost like a funnel. Just sort of filters through and helps align activity.
I can visualize it. In the corporate world, there's a X matrix. You might have seen it. So you can bring the whole organization. You've got your L1 and your L2 levels, and you can really manage it. And it's a pimped up version of everything that you've just said there. And I'm all for it in a large corporate organization. Somewhere smaller, just keep it simple, keep it moving, as you say. Yeah. Just keep it live. Share it with the team, make sure everybody understands it, give them the opportunity to input into it and change it and develop it. That's the way.
Awesome. Cool. We're getting on to the final few questions. And then I've got my quick fire questions that you're not prepared for because I love to throw a curveball. But before we get onto those, I'm just warning you now. Okay. Before we get onto those, you've reinvented yourself more than once in your career. What advice would you give to someone listening who feels stuck or overlooked, just like you did before you walked into those car dealerships?
Oh, wow. Does it depend where you are in life?
It's a good question. It resonates with me because I came off a coaching call as we record this yesterday with one of my clients who is an employed manager, and there's just been a change of MD, and there was an expectation, a thought process that potentially there'd be a ladder process they're a couple of steps away, and this chap is very competent at what he does, but has only been there a couple of years, and is literally like still very early in his career. And it really resonated with me because I really saw myself in the response, because he felt stuck and overlooked, and was like, I think I'm just going to leave. And I was like, oh, you mustn't leave. You need to have the conversation. Like, how do I stretch myself? Where's the succession plan? What's going to be? Oh no, I don't feel I can do that. And I said, well, if you want to grow and develop in the organization, you need to enable yourself to have those conversations, because that's part of the skill you need to develop to achieve those roles. Yeah. Do you think the MD would have an awkward time having this conversation with the chairman? Well, no, I don't suppose they would. And I was like, well, maybe this is feedback that you're not ready for the next step, but by having that conversation will help equip you. And there was an element of me feeding back that maybe the time's not right from a universe perspective, but also it really was feedback for me that I used to be that person, I suppose, who was confident and wanted the challenge. I was keen for the challenge, but maybe still wasn't quite ready for the development. And I think sometimes you can feel stuck and overlooked, and the reality is you're probably not quite there yet anyway. Yeah. Don't know, what do you think?
I completely agree with you, but maybe what you should do is learn about what it is that you want to do next. When I walked into those car dealerships, said I want to be in sales, I didn't really know what it was all about. I wasn't really ready for the pressure that was just put up on me, the 12-hour days and the weekend working, and it's really, really high pressure and targets and everything that comes with that. I was never ready for it. Sure. I threw myself into it, but I was in my mid-20s then. I could take the risk. I didn't have a lot of responsibilities. I could take the risk. If you've got responsibilities, I think you need to learn on the job. You need to think about, what's the next move that I'm going to do? How am I going to get there? What can I do to prepare myself for it? What learning can I do and development that I can do now to help me get there in the future? And eventually you just got to pull the trigger, right? You just got to go for it. But the more preparation work you can do, the better, I would say. The reinvention, I think, is an important point here, or an interesting point, not important. I think I have reinvented myself over the years. Not a very confident child, I guess, and moving into engineering and then into sales, and you have to be a bit more yellow when you're in sales, and I'm quite blue, as you know. So I've learned to be a bit more yellow and a bit more out there and a bit more outspoken. I did an MBA. I wasn't very academic, so I had to redevelop myself and think more in an academic way, and present myself and write in a better way and research in a better way. And even through my sales and my sales leadership career, different companies you go to, you've got to evolve, you've got to meet the cultures and demands of that organization. So you're reinventing yourself at that point. And with the consultancy work that I do now, I'm at my second version of a consultancy business at the moment. The first version was great. It was a great start for me, and I learned a lot from it. But what I found is I was probably being too many things to too many different people. I was a strategy coach. I was a strategy consultant. I was an NLP coach. I was a sales director. I was an interim this. I was a sales trainer. I was doing all sorts of things because I was meeting the needs of whatever was coming my way. And now in my second version of my consultancy business, that's evolved and it's developed. And all of the clients that I've worked with in the past, they want different things from me, but it all comes under the heading of, this is the role of a sales director. So that's why the evolution of my business now is to go into a fractional sales director position, able to cover all of the things that a sales director would do within an organization. So instead of me saying, do you want some coaching? Do you want some training? Do you want some help on your strategy? My positioning now is, how can I help you? What are the challenges that you face within your organization? What's the things that keep you awake at night? Where do you need some extra horsepower around your sales leadership?
Sure.
and just repositioning myself a little bit. And that just comes through reinvention and learning and developing yourself. And
Awesome.
I'm really happy with where it is now. It's taken a while to get there, but I'm really happy with where I am now.
I love that. So if listeners were to walk away with one message for the business and one message for their life, what would you want those two ideas to be? And why do they matter to you?
Okay. Well, business-wise, we've covered it lots, haven't we? Get a purpose, get a big direction, make sure the team understand what that's all about. And for life, I'd say, just going back to those childhood things, just see people as individuals. Don't judge a book by its cover. Spend a bit of time getting to know somebody. You'll be surprised what they could bring.
I love that. That's really, really good. I'm being a red type character.
I know.
I sometimes have a little lack of patience sometimes with people, and a really good bit of feedback, which is very similar to what you've just said, was always that everyone's got an interesting story to tell you. It's just your job to find it.
Yeah.
And that's always helped me slow down a little bit and take my time rather than prejudging and preconceiving, which is definitely a red trait.
In a way, Thomas Erickson has helped the world. Because what I'm saying from my childhood memories is treat everybody as an individual, look for the individual qualities in them. That's how I've lived my life. Thomas Erickson went and wrote a massive best-selling book that sold all over the world to really talk about the fact that everyone's an individual and you've got to work with those individuals in order to have a successful business and relationship.
For sure. Quick fire questions, mate. Where do you go to develop yourself?
So I do listen to a lot of podcasts. I'm not a big reader, actually. I'm not a big reader, but I do listen to a lot of podcasts. Started to watch Bloomberg on a morning.
Oh, nice.
Trying to be a little bit more succinct in my messaging. Let's see how this podcast goes today, but I'm trying to be a bit more succinct in my messaging. Bloomberg's great for that because you get CEOs that come on and they've got a 4-minute slot to talk about their earnings statement, and it's really just good to listen to them and learn a little bit from that. So that's a bit what I'm doing on the sort of business side, and I'm definitely trying to meditate a little bit more as well, because I think that's helping with my development, because it's just helping me to relax a little, not be such a control freak, just go with the flow a little bit. My wife's brilliant at meditation. I'm not just yet.
Sure. It's a practice, though. It's a practice. Okay. Second quickfire question. 3 tips for success.
Listen. Just listen.
Sorry.
Just listen. Just listen.
Okay. 1 tip for success.
Listen. No, I've got 3. Listen to yourself and listen to others. When you stop listening, I think you make the bad choices. Just keep listening. The second one is probably act upon what you are hearing. So if something in your mind is telling you something's wrong, you must act on it. You must do something about it. And equally, if others have got ideas, you should act on it. It might not be the right thing. You might choose not to take it forward, but at least act on it, do something with it, and then learn. So learn from whatever it is that you've just acted upon. How might you do it differently next time? What else you can do to develop as well.
Nice.
Listen,
Act,
learn.
Nice. I was listening. Dad, advice for your younger self. One piece of advice. If you go back to 16 to 18-year-old Paul, what would you tell him?
Eat less and move more.
Right, okay. Well, you've lived it now, mate.
I've lived it now.
You know, there's no, the evidence speaks for itself.
I've been, I was heavy right until my early 30s. In my early 30s, I went from 20 stone down to 13. I'm about 14 now. I could do with losing a bit more, but yeah, I wished I'd done it earlier. Okay. Eat less, move more is my answer.
Okay. 4th quickfire question of 5, so you're nearly there. What sacrifices have you made?
Wow. The biggest sacrifice I've made is although it had a lot of benefits when I moved to Peterborough 15 years ago, the sacrifice is we've been away from our parents as a result of that. So we don't see them. We don't see our parents as often as we would like to. You know, we came here for work and potentially a better life. My parents are still up in the northeast. Karen's parents actually relocated down to the southeast, so it's kind of 3 hours to go to the north or 2 hours to go down to see them there. We don't have that network around, but as they get a little bit older, I guess that is a sacrifice for us. We are here in the middle of the UK, and they're far apart. Yeah, it's difficult. I'd like to see them a bit more.
Okay, cool. And the fifth one is around discipline or motivation, which is more important?
In my early career, discipline was always important. I was the sort of person that would get things done. I could be counted on to get things done. So discipline was important to me. I am a disciplined sort of person, but in recent years, I'm more motivated now.
Okay.
I will only really get involved with the things that make me motivated, because I want to provide a happy and healthy life for me and my family.
Amazing. Really good. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pete.
Paul, it's been an absolute pleasure. I'm really pleased you joined me on today's podcast. I will share in the show notes for listeners how to get in touch with Paul if you're interested in some sales leadership support, sales director type support, fractional sales director support. His LinkedIn will be in the show notes.
Absolutely.
So please do tune into those. And thank you for listening. If you've enjoyed today's podcast, I'd really appreciate you leaving a 5-star review on Apple in particular. But if you're listening on Spotify, please do leave us some feedback. Please do make sure you follow and subscribe. Drop a comment if you're on YouTube. I really hope you've enjoyed it. Thank you very much. Paul, thank you very much for joining me. And I'll see you on a future episode. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on today's It's Not So Lonely at the Top podcast. We really hope you've enjoyed today's podcast. I'm absolutely delighted that you took the time to listen, and I really hope that you'll subscribe to ensure that you receive future episodes too. If you want to find out any more, please do search It's Not So Lonely at the Top podcast, and you'll find it on your favourite podcast app. Thank you.